Welcome to the Clean Hits Hockey Podcast. I'm Clean Hits Trent, joined here today by Etienne Lepage, who is the man behind the Blue Chip Prospect channel on YouTube. If you're not following it, you need to. It's the best place to find all things NHL draft coverage, NHL prospects. Etienne has been a unbelievably creative and fresh voice on the prospect scene for the last few years. Starting with the 2022 draft, he burst onto the scene. His channel has picked up tons of popularity because he puts together really great videos. So if you want to get the download on the class coming up where Utah hopefully will be picking a little bit later than usual, you can hear all about and learn all about the top prospects and some of the deeper cuts that might be more in our range. This is the third installment of the Future Face-Off series. I previously interviewed Rocco Zappia and went head-to-head with him on the Ottawa Senators versus Utah Mammoth future. Did the same with the Prospect Dawn and the Chicago Blackhawks. And today, the Utah Mammoth are going to square off against the Montreal Canadiens. Representing them will be Etienne. Etienne, how are you today?
I'm doing very good. I gotta say, man, I love the song. The intro is great. Has a good beat to it. Yeah, it's cool.
Appreciate that. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's a beer league game or what's going on in the background there in the video, but it seems definitely heated, whatever's going on. Yeah. So, Etienne, what can you tell Utah Mammoth fans about your YouTube channel and your coverage of prospects?
Yeah, basically, I started a channel a little bit more than 3 years ago because I'm a big fan of Prospect. I've been following them for more than 10 years. I can't remember exactly when I started, but it was always a passion of mine. And there was a hole on YouTube. There was not enough content, so I felt like, why not try it myself? Even though I'm not perfect in English, I've been trying to work on it. And so I just make prospect content, and now I'm trying to amp it up a little bit and do also some NHL content in there, not just prospect, or at least like young NHL players. So that's basically what I do: scouting reports and top 10s, top 16s, this kind of stuff. It's fun to do. It's fun to interact with people.
Yeah, and it's really great stuff. So definitely check it out. I remember seeing your first couple of videos come out for the 22 draft and being blown away. Just bring a lot of energy, and the way that you cut them up and format them is really entertaining and engaging. And honestly, I think your English is great, but when you are searching for a word and then you find it in the video, I find it personally very endearing and engaging. I'm like, wait, what's the word he's going to say to describe him? And then boom, there it comes. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the right word. All right.
I search my words in French too, so it's okay. my wife is Anglophone, so like we're speaking basically Franglish in the house. And so now I'm just bad in both language. I used to be great in French and okay in English. Now I'm just bad in both, so it's okay.
I feel that. My English is not great either. So, yes. So the Montreal Canadiens have, they're in a similar position to Utah, a little ahead of the curve, I think, wherein not only do they have a bright future on the roster, but they continue to have really promising young players coming up. I think Utah fans are getting a glimpse of that, where our team missed the playoffs by, a measly 7 points or something like that last season. We're lucky enough to win the lottery and move up to 4th overall and pick Caleb Desnoyers, who we'll talk about here in a few. And now we've seen rookie camp and training camp start, and we're seeing all these bright young stars on the ice with our bright young core. And that is definitely something you as a Canadiens fan can relate to from your previous few camps. With Montreal, it's been a little bit of a journey to get to this point. You had a Cinderella run not long ago where the team actually qualified for the Stanley Cup Finals. And maybe there was a little bit of celebration, a little bit of high expectation, a little bit of maybe the rebuild has arrived, and then they kind of had to take a couple of steps back. They made some personnel changes right at the top in the management group. What can you tell us about how Montreal got to this point?
Well, first, I think it's very refreshing that they are actually rebuilding, which they refused to do for so long. Like every GMs that we had always first never even wanted to use the word rebuild. They would just go and say we're like retooling on the fly and stuff like that. So even though we got a couple high picks like Kotkaniemi back in the days and stuff like that, like we never actually rebuilt the team. We were always like a middling team for like almost the last like 20 years or so. We had good runs, but nothing like very impressive. Basically, the team was held by Carey Price doing its things on the back end, right? So the Cinderella run in the playoff was great. It was amazing to watch. It was stressful. My heart could not handle it. But in the end, I think everybody, at least anybody who's not like such a homer, who like really like think everything Habs is just the best. Well, they had a good idea that we were not that team. Like the year after was not going to be another contending season or something like that. Even the season where we went to the Stanley Cup final, we basically barely made it to the playoffs. So it was a good sign that this was in the team. And when they told us that Carey Price was not coming back and Shea Weber was not coming back, well, there was no chance that we could do anything after that. I mean, you lose 2 star level players and you have nothing to replace them. Basically, they replaced Shea Weber with with Savard. It's like not the same type of player at all. So when it failed, then they started rebuilding, and it's great because now we're coming out of it. So it was a rough like 3 years for me. It's fine because I love prospect, but for a lot of people it was rough. But yeah, it was a cool process, and I think they did an amazing job. So that's cool.
Yeah, and Shea Weber, for Utah fans who don't know, is an Arizona Coyotes legend. So thank you for that contract and helping
You're
us
welcome.
get to the cap floor.
Yeah.
God forbid the owner would have to spend real dollars. So thankfully, we had Shea Weber to help us hit the floor, along with Pavel Datsyuk, Pat Kane, just all these Hall of Famers that are, the Arizona Coyotes alumni game would be top notch if all those guys
Crazy
had
crazy they never won with all those star players.
Yeah, there's Pronger too. Oh, they're just dawning on me. What a dark period in our history. But we're past that. We're in Utah now with a billionaire owner who's investing unbelievable amounts of energy and money and just absolute laser focus on improving the on ice product and the off ice situation. So Utah's in a really good place, much like Montreal, maybe just a little bit behind, as I mentioned. So I wanted to kind of focus on prospects first, kind of talk through who Montreal has coming up, who would still be Calder eligible, or even a little deeper in the pipeline. I think that one stark difference between Utah and Montreal starts right at the top, where Montreal has one of the most exciting prospects in all of hockey. Maybe the best prospect in all of hockey, top 3 probably. What can you tell us about Ivan Demidov?
Man, he's going beyond expectations in everything that he does. Like even his KHL season, like we expected him to have a great KHL season, ended up having like a record-breaking level a KHL season, and then he came in and the first game against Chicago of all teams, who passed on him, and he like on his second shift he has an amazing assist, and then the shift after that he gets a goal, and it's like every step of the way he's just breaking through expectations. So I don't even know what to think anymore. Like I've been high on him since the beginning. I had him second overall in my own ranking, and it's like every time I set an expectation, or I set an expectation, like he's just breaking through it. So where is he going at this point? I don't know. I don't know what's the limit.
I in my mind, he's a very early favorite for the Calder this year.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think it's stiff competition this season, but to me, Demidov has as good a chance as anybody. And I'm thinking back to last summer before Utah's first draft, and on the Clean Hits show, I'm pretty sure we asked the question, who'd you rather have, Michkov or Demidov? I'd have to review the tape, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only guy in the Clean Hits crew who chose Demidov, and I'm sticking with it, damn it. I think Demidov makes his own chances a little bit more. Likes to get to the inside and mix it up. I love the aggression on that player. He's so fun to watch. So on the Utah side, I've got Caleb Desnoyers as our top prospect. Safe to say Demidov's in a tier above Desnoyers, but What can you tell us about your thoughts of Desnoyers? I know he's somebody you followed closely all last year and the year before as he was playing for Moncton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love the guy. I'm not, in terms of offensive output, it's never going to be the same as Demidov, that's for sure, because they're first two different players, and one's gonna have massive defensive responsibilities, and I think he has everything to like be that anchor, like the center that plays against every top lines and every team you play against, and just like he's so good, he's so smart, he's strong on the puck, like he has so much going for him. Like it's not just like he's good defensively, he's also very good offensively. He's just not probably not gonna have eye-popping numbers like 90 points, something like that. Maybe he goes to 60, 70 points, but then he's also like super super important for the team defensively and on the PK. And on the other side, you have Cooley in your team that's going to take most of the offensive workload for the team. And then after that, like your center 1-2 punch is amazing, like Cooley, and then after that you get the Desnoyers, both very different but both extremely good in their own way. So yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys got to jump to number 4 and get get Desnoyers. It's like it really seals the rebuild for you guys. It seals it well.
Yeah, incredible luck. Incredible luck. Yeah, and Desnoyers was a guy that I definitely was hoping for all year, but he kept kind of climbing up the rankings, and Utah kind of kept climbing up the standings, and I was like, there's just no way. And then when we won the lottery, I jumped up in my office and yelled, Desnoyers! That was the guy I wanted, right? Right when they won the lottery, it was the first name. And then, of course, I spent the next few months second guessing myself and trying to talk myself into every other top prospect. But Desnoyers was definitely my guy.
And he was amazing in the playoff, and he was injured. Like, he had problems with both his wrist. And like at that point, you can't shoot, you can't handle the puck, you can't make hard passes. Like, and he still was very good in the playoffs. So, I mean, there's nothing to worry about.
Q playoffs, and then the wheels kind of fell off a little bit in the championship and into the Mem Cup. Wasn't sustainable, but it was great to see. And that Logan Cooley, by the way, we've been seeing some video coming out of training camp, and he's looking a lot bigger, like a lot bigger.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So not quite to the extent of Nate McKinnon's sophomore year where he showed up and was like all of a sudden a man. But Cooley, I think, is putting in the work. He seems driven. So really excited about the season coming up for him. And that should really help give Desnoyers some coverage when he's able to get healthy and play out the rest of his year in Moncton and come in next year, hopefully looking to earn a spot in Utah. Speaking of Logan Cooley, just to kind of veer off the subject a little bit, he was, of course, in the mix with Juraj Slafkovsky and Shane Wright and Nemec, and maybe to some extent Juracek, for potentially the top 1 or 2 or 3 picks in their year. That was an interesting year because the odds-on favorite coming into the season, Wright, tumbled down the rankings a bit, not unlike James Higgins did this year. But there wasn't really that Matthew Schaefer to come immediately take the mantle as the obvious pick. That year was a little bit interesting. How would how were you feeling heading into the draft with Montreal picking first? Were you leaning Wright, Slafkovsky, Cooley? Who was your guy heading into the draft? And what do you make of that kind of top 4 since the draft happened?
I had no guy that I was sure about. Like I loved Cooley because of the speed and the dynamism that he has in his game. And he's also not just a one-way player. Like he's a guy that's willing to work hard defensively and work hard along the board. Obviously, it's harder at his size, but if you say that he's coming back and he's bigger and stronger, well, that's going to change. But he's a very dynamic player, very good. I think offensively it was clear that he was going to be the most impactful offensive player. Shane Wright was just like so vanilla. Like he had good production, at some 90 something points in the OHL. It's still pretty good. It's just that there was nothing that he was doing that you'd look at and you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that's why he's first overall. Like there was nothing popping out, so it was kind of a little bit of boring. And then Slafkovsky was the big guy playing in a pro league, not getting a ton of minutes or ton of production, but you could see that he was very good from the board to the inside, making plays. He was physical, and he was skated well for a guy that was 6'3" and 235 pounds at the time, something like that. So I didn't necessarily have a guy, but I think I had Shane Wright still first because of the body of work, and followed by Cooley or Nemec. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember my top five, but I know Slavkovsky was not my first one.
Okay, yeah, I had Slavkovsky first on my list, but just barely. I think I had Cooley second. So I knew we needed a center so badly that as much as I had Slavkovsky first, I was kind of relieved when he was off the board because I kind of didn't want to go there because I knew in my head we needed a center. Even in my heart, I wanted the big guy who starred in the international scene and had the big personality and was kind of becoming a media darling around that time. He didn't quite have the start you would expect from a first overall pick. And
especially the first season.
Exactly, the first season, but he seems to be coming around now. What do you make of the future of Cooley versus Slavkovsky? What do you think? Who's going to get the edge as we move forward?
It's hard to say because again, it's a bit like Cooley and Dinoy. They're so different. Like first one is a center, and I think it's obvious that Cooley will be the more dynamic player, probably the player maybe that's talking more about. Like I think like Slavkovsky is more like a Brady Tkachuk type of player, a guy that can finish, that can make plays, that will be very strong close to the net or along the board, winning his battles, being physical. And Cooley is the transition guy, is the guy that can, if you give him an odd man rush, well, he's going to make something happen on it because of his feet, because of his smarts, because of his hands. And he's a very good playmaker, very good shooter. So I think offensively, Cooley will have the edge, but like it depends how your team is constructed, right? Like for the Habs, I think for the Habs, Slavkovsky was the way to go because Nick Suzuki was starting to be really good, and we know we had a first center there. So like having a guy that's 6'3", and now I think he's 225 instead of 235, that can be physical, that can go in front of the net, but also can make plays. It's not like a guy that's big but can't do anything with the puck. He has good hands. He's good in transition. He's good along the board, good around the net. So he completes the Habs better than Cooley would have done. So I think because he's playing on the line with Suzuki and Caulfield too, that's helping him in production for sure. So in the end, probably Cooley is the better player, but Slavkovsky is the more useful player for the Montreal Canadiens, I would say.
That makes sense. Yeah, especially on a line with Suzuki and Caulfield. That's not the biggest line in the world. So having a player with his size, but also his skill, I think is just kind of the perfect complement for them. And that line is unreal. I mean, one of the better lines going in the league, I think.
Yeah, it isn't, but it depends which stats you're looking for. But if you're looking for things like, let's say, expected goals, well, they are at the very top of the league, so they're doing very well. It's they're not going to change that line, that's for sure.
No. And speaking of line placement, at least in camp so far, Cooley's been centering Dylan Gunther, who he has tremendous chemistry with, but also JJ Peterka, the newcomer. So they've got the left side sniper and the right side sniper, the two most dangerous goal scorers on either side of Cooley on kind of a kid line. So I think it's good that Cooley's bulked up a bit and that he's committed to improving his two-way game, which was already pretty good for an offensive player. Because
he's gonna have to, that's for sure.
With those two, exactly.
With Gunther and Peterka, you're gonna have to back check hard. So,
that's right. So we'll see how that works out, or if they stick with it. But I think that that could develop into a really good line as well for Utah moving forward. So next on my list for Utah top prospects, I've got Tija Ginla. Who do you have in second for your prospect list for the Canadiens?
For the Canadiens, just let me turn to I've put it down. Well, yeah, Demidov is first. Now after that, it's because there's three players that could take that spot, right? Then we have Fowler, the goalie, who could be a very good starter goalie in the future. We have Ryan Backer. We have Michael H. So it really depends like which one pans out. But for me, it's probably Fowler. If I had to take like the edge on one, it would be Jacob Fowler, because I think he's been so good in the NCAA, and even in the rookie showcase that we just did, he was clearly the best goalie of all of our goalies. Like basically in the first game, he had no goals against, and then our other goalie Vic Van Nuys came in and he let in like 4 goals in a period and a half. So, and then the day after he left maybe once off the end, but he was moving well. He was tracking the puck well. Yeah, I think he's really good. So I would put him as second best prospect.
And he may be the best goalie prospect in the world. I mean, he's certainly up there. He's a really impressive young prospect. He was dominant in the NCAA statistically and otherwise. Had so much success there. Probably should have went way higher in the draft than he did. He was discounted a little bit for his league and his conditioning, but he's really proven the naysayers wrong. And he's in camp, you said. So is he signed? I didn't see that.
Yeah, he played last season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Basically, he had like he came in Laval for how you say that, like a PTO, like a training, not an actual contract. Like his contract is starting this year. It was basically a training contract, if you want. So, but he did play in the playoffs, and he did play a couple of games before the playoffs too.
That's right. Meanwhile, Utah's got Michael Robel as our top goalie prospect. I have him a little bit further down our overall prospect list. He's an exciting prospect who's having some success in the NCAA as well. He is not signed, and that is reason for a little bit of hand-wringing. We have one more full year to get through before we have to worry about that. I wouldn't have expected him necessarily to sign this summer, but I do.
He's not ready. I don't think he's ready, so.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tools, and you want to take it slow with him. But at the same time, that clock is ticking on the contract. So hopefully,
he has what? He has 2 NCAA season played.
That's right. So
basically, next year, I mean, even if you sign him in his last season, you're basically burning a year of his contract away by making him play a couple games at the end of the season. So you always get that advantage. Even if you wait 4 years, you still have an advantage at the end. So, and it's not like there's a tons of prospect. I don't think so, at least in Utah, to like that he has to catch up on. The way for him to the NHL is pretty clear. So I don't see why he wouldn't sign in Utah.
That's a great point. I mean, if you look around the league at what would be a better fit for a free agent prospect goalie, I feel like Utah is really well heeled to be attractive to him in that way.
Yeah.
Karel Vejmelka is quite a bit older than he is, could be a mentor, a fellow Czech, and he's by far and away the best goalie prospect in the system, bar none. So if he wants a clear path to the NHL and a team that's on an upward trajectory, probably no reason not to sign. But being a former Arizona Coyotes fan, I'm paranoid about these things. Blake Wheeler, as an example.
It's natural now.
Yeah. So Utah fans are probably like, why are you freaking out about this? I'm like, you don't understand, man. We've got PTSD, prospect traumatic stress disorder. Yeah, so third on my list is probably not who you would have on your list third for Utah. I'm guessing you would probably have Simishev ahead of Boot. I have that order reversed, but Simishev has been extremely impressive at rookie camp, and I may have to flip that order. I know you were a big supporter of Simishev in his draft year. I definitely was sharing around your content and thoughts about Simishev with all of my shocked and confused Coyotes fans after they picked him 6th overall. I'm like, listen, he's a good prospect. Listen to Etienne. Check out Blue Chip. What are your thoughts on Simishev and maybe how he would stack up against Reinbacher as an example?
I think, and I love Simishev. I told you before, right? I project him like we talked a little bit before. You said like some type of a Slavin. I don't know if he reaches like Jacob Slavin level. He's probably one of the best defensemen in the entire NHL. But if you take a guy like in Chicago, what's his name, Blazik?
Mm-hmm.
Blazik is a very good skater, maybe not as agile as Simishev, but he's very good skater, very good defensively, can move the puck forward. And like as he gets closer to his prime, as he gets in his prime, he's going to get even better. And that's basically what I expect out of Simishev. So the same type of player. I don't expect him to be, like a Makar or any type of very offensively minded defenseman. That's not his game. I think he defends really, really well. He's very suffocating in the way that he defends. He leaves no space. You can't move. He will just bear hug you and you will stay there. He's really good. And his feet are amazing. And when he gets the puck, it's really, really hard to like check him. Like forecheckers in the KHL cannot forecheck Simashev. He's too fast, he's too agile, he's too deceptive in the way that he uses his feet. So he always has a clean way to make that first pass and get the offense going. So I think that's super important in the NHL. I know it's not sexy, it's maybe a little bit boring, but it's super important in the NHL because forecheckers are coming at you full tilt. And you need a guy that can actually move away from them, create space, and make that pass. And Simashev is all that plus elite defense. So like I said, he's not a guy that's going to put up 50 points. He's probably more in the 25, 30 points, maybe 35 on a good year, like a very good year. But it's like Slavin is putting 35 points and nobody's complaining about it, right? He's he's amazing. So
with Simashev, I think like in Locomotive, they famously don't really like their defensemen to carry the puck. So to your point, he's very elusive and evasive. He's able to buy himself time and space to make a really good first pass, which thankfully he does have that skill set to make a really good breakout. But his wings were clipped a little bit. So I do wonder what it's going to look like when they take the leash off him and see if he can kind of drive play a little bit more. He's not going to go end to end and score highlight reel goals. He doesn't have the shot for it, but I do wonder if maybe once he can transport a little bit more and then distribute in more high danger areas, if maybe that assist total can climb a little bit for him. So that'll be interesting to watch as the season goes on.
I just did like a top 16 U23 NHL defenseman basically like yesterday, and there was both Reinbacher and Simashev in it. And since they were taking like both back to back, I have Simashev ahead of Reinbacher. But I think that's probably mostly because Reinbacher has been injured a lot. So last season was hard to like see the progress. He was extremely stable defensively, did some good plays offensively, but there's never something that stands out. Like with Simashev, like sometimes the physicality stands out, sometimes the feet stands out. With Reinbacher, like he has great feet for his size, but he's not on Simashev's level. I think he probably has a little bit more offense in his game. Like he will, but like you said, like he doesn't join the rush that much, Simashev. So we don't know yet what it's going to be when he comes in as a trailer, as the third or fourth forward. Like Reinbacher has more opportunity to do that, so he can maybe put a little bit more points on the board. But for now, I still have Simashev ahead, but it's very close. Like they were maybe, I don't know if they were back to back, but very close to back to back.
And being a that'll be an interesting one to watch for a lot of reasons, right? Because I remember both fan bases, maybe the casual fans who didn't really follow the draft that aggressively, and like I don't know how many people were getting a lot of good looks at Reinbacher or Simashev at that time. Not a lot of people watch MHL games, and Reinbacher wasn't playing in a top league. Well, I mean it is, but it doesn't get he was. It doesn't get the credit it deserves from the casual fan, right? Yeah. So I do recall like some disappointment from both fan bases, especially from the more casual side. And meanwhile, the more prospect nerd types were like, defending the picks full-throatedly. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses.
I was extremely disappointed.
Is that right? Who do you have your eye
on? Mishkov, for sure. Yeah. I wanted Mishkov. I don't know if he wanted to play in Montreal. That's one thing. So I don't know that part. So I don't know if they had that opportunity to actually draft Mishkov. Maybe in their interview, he flatly said, "I'm not playing in Montreal," and that solves the case, right? But Reinbacher was not even my top defenseman in 2023, so I was not necessarily happy with the pick. I'm still not happy with the pick. I think there was better pick than Reinbacher, but I mean, he's going to be a serviceable top 4 player for us. And because we just acquired Noah Dobson and we have Lane Hudson who's exploding, like our defense is non-issue. And he's going to complete that defense. So that's fine. But if he had to be the main guy, because you picked him 5th overall and he had to be basically the Noah Dobson, that was going to be a problem, I think.
Yeah, he's well insulated there with Hudson and with Dobson and with Gooley. Really impressive blue line that they're building up there in Montreal. Coyotes fans, the surprise didn't end at 6th overall. It continued at 11th overall, where they picked Daniel Boot, who's next on my list. Boot was a bit of a surprise as well. You were following Simashev that year So I expect you got a lot of looks at his teammate Daniil Boot as well. Were you surprised at the range he went in, and what do you make of Boot?
I First, I like Boot. I like the skills. I didn't like the feet at the time. I think they got a little bit better. But he does have tons of skills for his size. But like where he was picked was obviously a bit of a surprise for me. I think I had him at the end of my first round, or like late 20s or something like that. So I mean, it made sense for him in the first round, but I think it was a little bit of a reach. But like you said, you have him before Semeshev, so we don't know. Like you don't really know until they're out of Russia. So that's when you're gonna know what you have really.
Exactly. Yeah. And just for me, I mean, my head says go with Simishev. That's the conventional wisdom. I went back and I watched the majority of the MHL play games that both of them played, and they were usually in the game together. And I just always found myself a little bit more impressed with Boot. But, Simishev playing the more valuable position, there's a lot of mitigating factors there. It's kind of a coin toss for me. Daniil Boot is somebody who I think is going to take a little bit of time, go down to Tucson this year, and build his way up from the minors. So it'll be interesting to watch him as well. I think that leaves on your list Michael Hage, probably.
Yeah, because I have Ivan Demidov, then Fowler, then probably Reinbacher, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter at that point. And after that, it would be Michael Hage, which is probably the next top prospect. I like him, but I'm not as high on him as most people, especially in Montreal. Like when I talk about Hage in Montreal, sometimes I get downvoted to hell or whatever because I'm not automatically saying that he's going to be a sure shot top six center in the NHL. I think he definitely has middle six potential. I think a lot is going to have to go well for him to be a top six player. But a lot depends on how it's going to go this year. Like, can he still be that first center with the new addition in the team? Can he work more on his two-way game as opposed to just like even sometimes cheating to get some offense in the NCAA? So, like I said, I like him. I think he's a dynamic player with his feet. He has good hands, has a good shot. He's an okay passer. He's not the best passer out there, but he's an okay passer. So I think he has that potential to play in the top six. It's just I think he's a little bit like far from that still.
Right. Yeah, he's going to take a little time as well, like Boot will, to finally see what their absolute upside is and how it all shakes out. So as far as that top end, rounding out my top five, I have Maverick Lamoureux at my fifth. Who do you think from the Montreal Canadiens you would have as your fifth?
I have Alex Jarowski, the guy that we took at the 34th. Yeah, that was 34th, I think. And first, I had him exactly there, 34th. So I think that was fine. I think he's a player with the skills that are way higher than 34th. It's just that there's definitely risk when you're a guy in the MHL. Didn't have the greatest feet either, but I mean, I feel like they're better than what people make it out to be. But it's still something that needs to work on. He's very, very light. He was like 160 pounds or something like that, and he was doing everything that he wanted to do on the ice in the MHL. There was no competition for him where he was, especially in the division that he was. Like there was never anybody like 10 feet around him. He could just do whatever he wanted. So at least a couple of times in the year, I saw him like trying to challenge himself and basically go headfirst into defenders or into traffic to try to challenge his hands and challenge his vision and stuff like that. So that was good. But after that, when he played in the playoffs, he did really well in a really more structured offensive system, and he did good. Like he won his battle along the board, he went in the corners, he forechecked, he created actually I think his only goal or points of the playoff by forechecking hard onto a KHL defender. So I mean there's definitely upside or things that he did in the playoff that we didn't see at all in the season in the MHL. And then the same thing happened when they just had like the preseason before he got injured. So yeah, I think he has some serious potential. He has top six potential for sure. He could never play in the NHL, but he has top six potential for sure.
Boomer bust. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you ranked the prospects in that draft purely on their highlight reels, he would have went a little bit higher, I think, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Him and Riker Lee. It would be...
because he definitely has some jaw droppers there. A lot of skill, a lot of upside. I've got Lamoureux as my fifth, ahead of Baudouin and Rabel, ahead of Duda. Which is probably controversial. We get into a little bit of a mushy middle here where it's hard to rank them. I like Lamoureux a lot because of how well he's persevered through so many injuries and health issues and the limited time he's had. He's continued to gain weight, pack on the pounds. He's been able to translate the bully game he played in the Q very well into the AHL. We even saw a lot of that in the NHL, maybe a little too much. He spent about as much time in the penalty box as he did on the ice. He's a kid who's easy to root for, easy to like, has a lot of projectable tools. It's just a question of where on the depth chart that inevitably lands him. How do you feel about Lamoureux, and is that where you would rank him in our list?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have him here. I think he's going to get a spot in the NHL, especially with now Kessel Ring's gone. So yeah, I like the length out of the wingspan. He can defend really well. He can also move the puck. He's not like strictly defensive defenseman. He moves well. He has a lot going for him. I think he did really well in the Q, and even the game that he played in the NHL, he didn't look out of place at all. At least not the ones that I've seen. So yeah, I think it's a good prospect, and I think it's the right spot for him.
Yeah, I actually, I went down to Tucson and was able to catch some games. I watched a lot of Roadrunners on the AHL TV or on Flow Hockey. I actually think Lamoureux looked a little bit better in the NHL than he did in the AHL, which tells me he needs more time in the AHL. But we'll see how it shakes out in camp. Usually, what you see in the NHL, they're riding adrenaline a little bit. And the AHL is maybe a little bit more of a clearer picture. So I think, he's had a lot of adversity to get through, a lot of challenges with his health. I think if he makes it to the NHL this season and stays, that's great for his development. He's probably ready for that step. If he doesn't, and he spends the majority of the year in the AHL and can stay healthy and grow and round out his game and become a solid pro, I think that doesn't hurt him either. I don't think you can overbake a player in the AHL. We just had Lee Stempniak on the show, the director of player development here in Utah, last week, and he was a firm believer in the concept of you can rush a player, but you can't take it too slow. So he said you can never spend too much time in the AHL. So I think players would disagree with that, but
yeah, for sure. players and their agents are going to disagree with that, but I do agree with him. And basically, you can see Detroit, they built a dynasty on that formula, right? Of leaving players simmering in the AHL for years and bringing them up when they're like overripe, and it worked well for them. But I mean, to do that in today's NHL, like every single player are going to ask for a trade at some point. So
yeah, you're gonna hear from their agent, you're gonna hear from their mom, their dad, their aunt, Aunt Marie. You're gonna hear from everybody if you leave them too long.
It's a different dynamic for sure.
Something you've Team USA at least has heard a little bit about from Lane Hudson recently, so that was interesting as well. So I think as we look at kind of the top five for each team, if we're going the head-to-head face-off, I'm looking at Demidov on the top there. I'm looking at Cam Fowler there, or not Cam Fowler. I'm sorry, Jacob Fowler.
Jacob, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know that Utah's really competing here. The depth maybe is a little bit better in this top 10, but as far as the top fives go, I'm gonna have to give the edge to Montreal here. I think I concede. Etienne, what do you make of the top five head to head for both clubs?
Well, especially because of Ivan Demidov.
Yeah.
But like, if you remove Demidov, I think Utah's got it, because like they have Desnoyers, they have Tijigin. Tijigin is a supremely good player. He's just he didn't play, but he's an amazing player. So he's so feisty, and he's like, I don't know. You got Simashev, you got Daniel Booth, you got Robrol, which is not my favorite, but he's a good goalie prospect. And then Tijigin and Desnoyers, it's a very, very strong like top five. It's just Montreal has the Demidov factor. So that's where the difference is. Because if you remove Demidov, I much prefer Utah's prospect pool.
but we can't remove Demidov. So
Yeah, no.
he's an incredible player. So I think, it's kind of a similar story when you look at the 23 and under list for both clubs. Montreal has some really amazing talent there. So does Utah. I think that it's pretty close there as well. On the top of my list, I've of course got Logan Cooley. I imagine Lane Hudson's probably at the top of your list for the 23U list.
But 23, I would probably have the Ivan Demidov in front of.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. But of roster
Lane
players, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. The thing is, I never really look at things as a U23 thing. I'm more like a U25 type of person, or even then, like I don't really care about their age unless they're past 30. So it's more like how many years are they signed? How many years have they played? It's more the way that I look at things than U23. But yeah, if we go strictly U23, it has to be Demidov and Hudson at the top for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got Demidov, Hudson, Slavkovsky, Gooley, Balduke, some really impressive talent there. Whereas Utah's got Cooley, Gunther, and Peterka, at least on the U23 roster list, and then some of their top prospects peppered in there as well. So I think that it'll be interesting because Utah is probably done drafting so high. Montreal is obviously as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these two pools and futures and rebuilds shape up moving forward. I know, Etienne, you just recently did a rebuild ranking, rebuild grading video. So Utah fans should check that out. I saw that Montreal and Utah were actually the top two teams on your list. Did you want to maybe talk a little bit about how they ended up at the top, those two, and how you see the future of both teams?
First, it was controversial. not everybody saw it that way, and I can understand why. When you look at teams like San Jose and Chicago, what they're building, it's normal that you would maybe place them in front, or even teams like Anaheim. The thing is, like the way I was looking at it is mostly like through a 5-year lens. So in the next 5 years, can they compete? Can they become contender? Can they be a serious team? And like, I'm not sure if Chicago's going to be there. I'm not sure if Anaheim's going to be there. I'm not sure if like San Jose is going to be there. Like, they have so much work on their defense to do. So even though like in terms of prospect pool, they would be in front of basically everyone. Like, they have the top prospect pools. But if you watch the rebuild, you watch like everything, like the roster, the contract situation, who's signed long-term, who's not signed long-term, like a lot of it, like there's a lot of things to look at. And when you look at all of that and you look where they finished last year, like Utah was basically 1 or 2 points behind the Montreal Canadiens, and the Canadiens wasn't in playoffs. So basically at the same spot, and you just added a 70-something point player who's super dynamic. You remove Kesselring, but I'm pretty sure they remove Kesselring and they think that Lamoureux can probably take that spot. That's what I would guess, or they would not have removed Kesselring. Right. So I think like because of the position of where you finished last season and where the Montreal finished last season, and what's left to be added to the team. Like, we were in the playoff in Montreal, but we were adding Demidov this season. We're going to add Reinbacher at some point. We're going to add Jacob Fowler at some point. Those are all impact player in the NHL. And same thing for you guys. You had like 89 points, I think you had last season. Is that it? Yeah. So you had 89 points, and you have Tejigila to add. You have Desnoyers to add, Simashev, Boot, like Lamoureux. There's still so much to be added to the team, and you're already there. So that's how I see it. It's basically you finished high in the. You're not like at the complete bottom of the NHL. You're not like a team that's eliminated in November. So that's a good starting point, and you have a lot coming up in the team in the future. So. That's why I think they're basically neck and neck at the same place in terms of rebuilds.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the stacking up the prospect pool is one thing, but it's how you build from there, right? I mean, you can look at the Buffalo Sabres for that. They draft high all the time. They load up the cupboards with prospects, and it never really seems to go anywhere. So I think your rebuild is not just your prospect pool or how many picks you have. It's how you develop the players. It's how you insulate them and surround them with talent. It's having smart management, the right coaches, all of these things that Utah and Montreal are both trying to figure out and we're starting to see some separation from how that's going for them versus some of the teams that started their rebuilding even sooner. Some of those teams look like they're going to top out a little bit short of things, whereas these two, we really have to wait and see, but not quite as long as we will with San Jose and Chicago, right?
Yeah. And there's also the fact that you have to have like when you're drafting, you have to have a margin for error. Like there's always some misses here and there. And somebody wrote me today about the video that I made about the rebuild and saying San Jose has plenty of defensemen, which is true. Like they have Polkamp, they have Miskey, they have all kinds of defensemen, but those probably project as third line defensemen in the NHL. And when you look at top 4 defensemen, they have Dickinson, and that's about it. Maybe if you want to push it a little bit, they have Shakir McCandlin. Yeah. So that's about it, and that's if you push it. So you need at least 1 or 2, maybe even 3 top 4 defensemen. Let's say you acquire 1 through trade, the other 2 you still have to draft them, and they're not on your team yet. And when you look at the past years, there's players like Simon Nemec, players like Jiricek, players like Drysdale, players like Korchinski, all top 10 defensemen that were taken that don't look like future top 10 defensemen. So it's like, it's not a sure thing. It's not because this year you're still going to finish low in the draft and you're going to be picking as somebody in the top 5 or top 10 that it means that player is going to end up a top 5 or a top 10 player. So there's a margin for error. So like, even if you have a good prospect pool now, it doesn't mean they will all make it. And whenever you draft in the future, it doesn't mean they will make it either. So
absolutely, you have to read the signs of the development, and we're too far away from that for those teams to really judge it accurately. And to your point, even though this is a D-heavy top 10 in this upcoming 26 draft class, that you have to pick the right one, and there's no guarantee that we're going to do that. Yep, great point.
There's a big chance Verhoff is going to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, probably even a first pair, but there's a chance that he's not. Like Jiricek, most people thought he was going to be a first pair defenseman. He's not looking like he's going to be one. It's possible that it changes and that he comes back to who he was and find back his game, but for now, it's not looking like that. So, like, it's not impossible that high picks don't work out. It's the way it is.
Absolutely. So it's an exciting time because we're about to really start getting some questions answered, and we're going to really get a clearer picture at the trajectory of both teams this season. It's going to be an exciting season for Montreal as well as for Utah to see who can take the next step. For Utah, that's qualifying for the playoffs, and for Montreal, that's becoming dangerous in the playoffs. So bright futures ahead for both teams. Definitely, folks, make sure that you're following Blue Chip Prospect on YouTube, watching all of those 2026 draft videos that are going to be coming out, as well as all of the other updates that you have planned on drafted prospects and young NHL players. It's really a great channel, and make sure that you're subscribed to it. Etienne, anything you want to make sure that you say or plug or want to part with?
Not really, man. It was fun. I mean, yeah, go look at my channel if you want. If you want to hear about prospect or young NHL players, you can always come to my channel, talk with me, comment, and we can have a chat about different players if you don't like my opinions. But yeah, outside of that, thanks a lot for having me on. That was a cool conversation. I think.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you joining. I've been a big fan of yours for years, and I think you'll find Utah fans are a little bit more gentle in the comments than Montreal fans. So
probably, yeah, probably. It's the reason why I don't do like basically just Montreal stuff. It's because I didn't want necessarily to deal with just Montreal fans. So I mean, yeah, they're a little bit intense sometimes.
Different breed, and I know that even as an English speaker, and so that's cutting out a huge swath of what I don't see or understand in terms of the comments. So yeah, for Utah fans, imagine BYU fan base, but even bigger in terms of intensity, right? So Etienne, it was amazing to have you on, man. I appreciate your patience and me getting this figured out and set up finally. It was great talking to you, and I really appreciate you joining the show. I'll play some music to end us out here, and away we go. Thanks, Etienne.
Running the game now.